just give us a word of encouragement as we come here. So let's start the timer. We're in Mark chapter 6, and we're going to begin in verse 1. Jesus went out from there and came into his hometown, and his disciples followed him. And when the Sabbath came, he began to teach in the synagogue, and the many listeners were astonished, saying, "Where did this man get these things, and what is this wisdom given to him? And such miracles as these performed by his hands? Is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon? Are not his sisters here with us?" And they took offense at him. Jesus said, "A prophet is not without honor except in his hometown and among his own relatives and his own household." And he could do no miracle there except that he laid his hands on a few sick people and healed them. And he wondered at their unbelief. And then the other part actually belongs properly to the next paragraph here. And he was going around there and teaching in their villages. So as we look here, this is one of those times where we've had two back-to-back stories here telling us about Jesus doing miracles and people, God moving in their lives because they had faith. Now we get the opposite side, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Here's the opposite one. He goes home. The people, your boys who know you, who saw you grow up, yeah, that's where he's at. And instead of being thrilled to see him and saying, "Man, this is great. Look at what you've done. Look at how God's using you," they're like, "Hold on a second. I remember you from back in the day," and they just take offense at him. It says literally, they take offense at him. It's almost like they're saying, "Wow, look, you've risen up, and we haven't. And so now, how in the world are you up here, and all of a sudden we're down here?" Maybe there's some, who knows? But we get this hardness of heart on the part of the people in his own hometown. And that's got to be one of those just really humbling times, and really, really kind of depressing, right? Jesus comes and they just won't believe him. And so he says, look, prophets don't have honor in their own hometown, right? That's a problem. But look what he says, and he could do no miracle there except that he laid his hands on a few sick people and healed them. There were things that they could have done. There are things that Jesus could have done in that city. Things that miracles and just absolutely amazing signs and wonders that he could have done. But because they would not believe, because their hearts were hard about him, against him, because they took offense at him, he was hindered from doing most of them. Look at what he says. I mean, he only laid his hands on a few sick people. He says, there's so much more that could have been done here. But your unbelief kept it from being done. Now, I think what we see is probably that this is really hitting at the heart of these people, because they won't believe, because they won't take the action to bring those needs to Jesus. I think there were probably other people who probably would have gotten healed if people had just brought them. Hey, my sister's sick and ill. My father is bedridden. All these things that could have been done, and they refused to do them. And so Jesus can't perform that miracle there. He won't. There's always this back and forth. Do we believe, and will we follow? And Jesus is saying, here in this place, I'm not. So it's kind of a bummer. Kind of really a bummer to end the end of the week on such a rough note here. But it does give us a very important lesson. So what does this tell us about Jesus? It tells us he desires to do this work. He really wants to, and he's kind of bummed that he can't. Because there's just not the faith to step out and follow him. But what does this tell us about ourselves? It does tell us that when it comes to seeing God move in powerful ways, oftentimes we put strings on it. They were fine if God moved in somebody else, but not from someone from their own hometown that they knew. No, they didn't like that. So that tells us something about ourselves. We will put strings on what God may want to do in our lives. So what does it call us to do? Well, let's believe. Let's follow God, how He wants to move. All right, guys. I know it's a little bit of a bummer to end a Friday on that, but you know what? It's also an encouragement because we know even though these people didn't receive it, God kept sending it. He keeps showing us the grace of God even in the midst of our own hard-heartedness. All right, guys. Thanks so much for your time. I will see you back here next Tuesday as we hop back